Hey, this is Amy Rasdal from Billable at the Beach. If you really want to learn to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Hey, Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. It's Coach Fergie, Scott Ferguson, and I'm super excited to bring you my interview with my kind of now a good friend, Amy Rasdal from Billable at the Beach. She teaches you how to be a consultant in a sense where you have to be kind of experienced in the business world and being able to write your own ticket, bill your own hours. It's possible, squad. It is. It's possible. It's out there. I'm living proof of it. Amy's living proof of it. A lot of the people that I interview on here are living proof of it, but Amy shows you how to do it. And that's what's really cool about it. Believe it or not, I've not had anybody really teach the living the laptop lifestyle that I talk about a lot in my speeches or in blogs and podcasts that I do. So if you're a corporate person, C-suite, somebody that's really climbed that ladder a little bit and you're kind of burnt out with it, and I think consulting might be for you because you're the game and you just need to know how to build that business, and Amy will get you there. So I have pages of notes, right? And I have built my business, but I still have pages of notes to be able to pass on to people that are in my coaching world. So without further ado, here's my really good friend now, Amy Rasdal from Billable at the Beach. Let's level up. Hey, Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. Welcome back to another powerful edition of the Time to Shine Today podcast with me, Coach Fergie. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, blessed to be your gap coach, specializing in mental performance conditioning, working with professional and amateur athletes, entertainers, business leaders, C-suite, and students to help them bridge their success gap to live a life of options and not obligations. On this platform, we are stoked to bring you high performers who are not just chasing and attaining success, but redefining it through providing above and beyond service. And about above and beyond service, my good friend here, Amy, we talked about kind of living the life, the laptop lifestyle. And she didn't just leave corporate America. She was in corporate America. She didn't just leave it. But Amy Rasdal blasted out of it with purpose and built a lifestyle most executives only dream of and about. For over 15 years, she's been running a multiple six-figure consulting business that gives her freedom, flexibility, and full control over her time. She's the powerhouse founder of Billable at the Beach, which I love it, and it's a registered trademark also, and this lady knows her stuff, where she's helped hundreds of professionals ditch the grind and launch their own thriving consulting businesses. Amy isn't just talking the talk, she's walking it daily, empowering high performers to cash in on their experience without burning out. Strap in, Varsity Squad. This is how you level up with the one and only Amy Rasdal. So, Amy, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. But first, what is your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is green.
Okay.
And originally it was blue, first time I saw the ocean, but my mother's favorite color was blue.
Okay.
And so at first I went with that. Everything was blue.
Gotcha.
And eventually I was so sick of blue that now everything is green. And my daughter is so sick of green that her favorite color is purple.
Oh, gotcha.
Because
Perfect.
everything here is green in our house.
Right.
She's like, oh my gosh, that's enough green. Now I'm going to go purple.
I love it. And you live in my favorite place on earth. And people that know me, they're like, oh, Fergie's back in San Diego. He's going out to the left coast, Mount Soledad or Mission Beach. And it's just kind of like my thing because I grew up there as an adult in the military, right? Became an adult
that's
there.
a good way to put it.
Right. And it was amazing. Now, don't get me wrong. I probably did kid things like Tijuana and stuff like that back in the day, but service members, that was kind of our thing to do. So, Amy, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. I thought I had lost you there for a second.
No,
So,
I'm here.
talk to me a little bit about kind of Billable at the Beach. You walked away from the executive grind and built a Billable at the Beach. So take us to that moment, if you can, right? And what triggered that leap? And how did you turn freedom into profit relatively quickly?
Well, so it's a slightly interesting. I'll start back a little bit further, but I'll make it very, very brief.
Please.
I'm a Silicon kid. So my dad was an early semiconductor guy in Silicon Valley. When we moved there, Silicon Valley was fruit orchards.
There's a valley.
So I watched it go from agriculture to silicon through my lifetime and my dad. So I grew up technology startups. I didn't really know there was anything else. So
Hmm.
my career goal was to be a technology startup CEO. I started as a software engineer. I went to business school. I worked big corporate. I got all my cross-functional rotations. I jumped off and started doing startups, both venture funded and bootstrapped.
Wow.
And I had grown up like that. I felt comfortable doing this. So the last corporate job that I had was a startup. We flew up high so fast. And man, we crashed and burned
Wow.
faster than you can possibly
What
imagine.
year-ish was this?
This was early 2000s.
Okay,
So we're
gotcha.
talking quite a while ago.
Yeah,
Some of our
dot
listeners
com boom kind
were
of thing, right?
probably
Yeah.
it was a dot-com boom thing.
Okay, gotcha.
So we
Okay.
flew high and fast. It was so much fun, but it crashed and burned hard.
Yeah.
But I loved it. So I was looking for my next corporate job. And I was far enough along in my career by then as an executive to think, I think many of us come to the place that somewhere along the line, we realize that the people that we work with are possibly more important than the company or even the product. So team was really important. I wanted to make sure I found a right fit. So I was looking for that. Consulting project fell into my lap, 20 hours a week for 3 months. I thought, great. It covers the bills while I'm being really careful about my next position. Scott, I got 4 or 5 weeks into that and I said, cancel the job search. This is the life.
Dude,
And
right?
I've never looked back.
Mm,
But Scott, I made every mistake that you can make along the way.
good for you. That's what
As
I
right? But so as I figured that out, so as I moved along through that consulting, and as a consultant, really I was doing the same type of work that I had been doing all those years. I have
Sure.
several college degrees. I went to a fancy business school. I worked big corporate. I did startups. I was doing very similar type of work, but on a consulting basis.
Gotcha.
So the way I define consulting, I hear a lot about fractional.
I'm just, dude, you know what? I just wrote down fractional right here and was going to ask you about that because that's new to me, right?
It is not for me.
Okay, good. Okay.
I want you to be a superhero with a superpower making super pay. Fractional, I'm sorry, it's a part-time job. I
Right.
don't want a
Yeah.
part-time job.
Right.
Superhero, superpower, super pay.
Love it. Love it.
Go in, be an expert, make a big impact, get paid for your impact. I don't want to get paid unless I'm making a significant contribution.
Yeah.
But I go in, I do what I'm really good at. I get in, I do it, I get out. Now, get in, get out, that might be 3 months. It might be 3 years. It
Sure.
depends what it is.
Right.
But superhero, superpower, super pay is the way that I define consulting.
That's beautiful. So when the people, how do they find you kind of basically? I know you do your marketing and podcasts and stuff like that, but you're kind of like sought after because you give them the right guidance. Like how do people kind of find you? And I have some really, to me, they're awesome questions to follow up with on it.
So I think fundamentally business is about relationships.
Sure.
So it's about building taking advantage of the relationships that you already have,
Sure.
and then building on those and growing
Thank
and
you.
growing and growing, kind of
Yes.
like this star system of
Right.
satellites. Every relationship give you 5 or 10 more. You build those, they give you.
Yes.
So you hit, I hate to use the word networking, but a
Oh,
huge amount of it is networking and
right.
turning those into solid relationships. So the way that I help people get started is to really work and mine the existing relationships that they have that they may not even be aware that they have.
Right. In their sphere, what do they call that? Sphere of influence and stuff like that. Their existing relationships. And I love that you brought up networking, even though it's kind of people, and I'm not saying I'm this and that, but like I network a lot differently than other people do, especially being in the coaching business. I'm not a consultant. I'm a coach. I believe everyone knows what they want, but they just don't know how to talk themselves into it, right? And so when I network, I'll go and if I saw you and I kind of overhear you say something, I'll kind of walk up and introduce myself and I use the Ford technique, FORD, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. I'm going to keep the whole conversation going about you. My biggest compliment, Amy, at a networking event is for me to walk away and them go, what the hell does that guy do? Right? That's mine because there's a method to my madness where I go to my car, I have these things called thank you notes, right? And I write a bit, Amy, so great to meet you. And I'm gonna obviously, hopefully, the business card that you give me, of course, that it's the address is right. I'm gonna mail it to you, and I'm gonna ask for a 1-to-1 coffee, right, or something like that. That's how I do. I slow play, I believe, inch by inch, inch to inch, while the art is hard. Everyone goes out there for the kill. But I loved how you didn't stumble, but you paused when you said networking, right? You're like, because it's kind of like a dirty word to a lot of people with that. But there's mindset shifts in my end of the playing field that you have that people need to make when going from paycheck security, and I say that in quotes, right, to building a six-figure consulting business, right? What's the biggest lie that you feel that you see corporate pros believing about that jump?
That they can't make as much or more money, that they have
Okay.
to sacrifice compensation, not just compensation, but also impact. Because a lot of us, we want to make our money, but it's not just the money. We also want to make an impact on whoever we're working
Right.
with. Those two things.
Right. And because people are actually more important than the product. I believe you said that a couple of minutes ago, right? That's impact. It's the people, what you can make on them. So you've helped hundreds of people go from burned out to billable, right? So,
Yes.
tell me about one transformation that still gives you chills. Like, who were they before and what do you see about them now?
Yeah. So the first one that comes to mind is I was working with a young woman when I very first, so just very briefly at this point, I've spent all these years being a consultant. And what happened over time was people kept asking me, wow, you really love what you're doing. Can we talk about it? And I'm a very diligent, kind of process oriented person. And I would think, well, what do I want to tell them? What do I love? What do I hate? What do I wish I would have known?
Right.
So eventually I started to accumulate a body of material and
Mm.
founded what you mentioned, which is Son. She
Oh,
was working corporate. So she had taken her maternity leave, gone back, and just had that realization that some people have who go back after maternity leave thinking, okay, this isn't going to work. And
right.
whether it's because you had a baby, or you want to do triathlons, or you have aging parents, or you want to work from a sailboat or a mountaintop, whatever that might be that drives you.
Mm.
So within 6 months of working with me, now I don't want to make a false promise that this happens for everybody. She was very motivated. She had a little
Right.
baby at home.
Right.
She, as a consultant, within 6 months, was making twice as much as a consultant than she had been as a corporate
As a
employee,
corporate employee. Okay.
not working more hours.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's
So it was dramatic.
right.
We're still in touch, and now she's involved into doing all other things. And it's interesting to see people when they go out. She now has founded like a group that helps specifically new mothers find their own businesses and business paths,
Nice.
not
Nice.
necessarily corporate consulting, which is really what I'm focused
Right,
on.
right.
She got very interested in heart-centered businesses, so it's a different kind of thing. But to watch her transformation in 6 months, she was making twice as much as she had made as a corporate employee.
That's beautiful.
And it's not a one-off story.
Right. No, I love that because you do have them by the hundreds. But the one thing, Squad, that she did mention is that her client, she came in ready to take action. She was ready to go. The teacher will appear when you're ready. She was ready. She wasn't on the fence and stuff
Yeah.
about that. So, Amy, with you say that consulting is the fastest and least risky path to six figures, right? So break that down for me a little bit. What makes it less risky than a kind of a traditional business startup?
Well, there's really no startup cost,
Right.
right? There's
Mm.
no investment required. You don't need a physical location. And I really like to talk about how easy it is to get started and what you need. You need four things. You need brain power, business experience, a computer, and a phone. I
Okay.
think every single person that's here with us today, right at this moment, has those four things. The
Right.
brain power, there are moments when we're all a little bit like, well, I don't know. Can you talk to me later today?
Sure.
But all of us have those things. You
Right.
don't need a website. You don't need fancy photos. You
Thank
don't
you.
need a logo. You don't need a name. Do you need those things at some point? Absolutely.
Sure.
Do you need them to land a project and put a check in the bank? No.
Negative. Right. So let me say, if you said consulting with the business experience, and because my superpower is curiosity, I can coach from professional athletes, Super Bowl winners, right, to house husbands. Okay, just because I am just super curious. With consulting, I don't consult because a lot of times my clients have forgot more about their business than I'll ever know, right? So if you have someone that comes out, you say business experience, but how can they be comfortable consulting, be intentional about consulting in maybe a business that wasn't their business? Or do you maybe urge them to kind of consult in the business that they're familiar with?
Yes. So I believe that I like to say that now is not the time to do something completely different.
Okay.
The control that you have, how much money you make, who you work with, some of those things will be a lot more flexible. But people hire me because I'm an expert, because I've been doing what I do for many years. They're going to hire you for the same reason.
Sure.
So I used to co-speak a lot with someone who was a franchise consultant, right? Who
Okay.
sold franchises.
Well,
So I would often tell people, I always spoke first, and I would say, if you want to do something completely different, you should listen to the next session with Roxanne. This coming in as a consultant, superhero, superpower, super pay, it's doing what you've been doing for many years. So honestly, consulting is not something that you do when you first graduate from I love to speak at colleges, and we have tons
oh
of
my
them here in
gosh.
San Diego.
Oh, I got follow up
But
on this. Yeah, I get you.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's great. But
Right.
consulting is not now going to work for Booz Allen or McKinsey, yes. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
independent consulting is not something that you do when you're a new grad.
Right.
That's something that you do 5, 10, 15, or more years down the road. It's you go in, you hit the ground running, you make a contribution immediately.
Right.
So it is not the time to do something completely different, but it will feel completely different in a good way.
Right.
And I do, Scott, for sure get people who say, well, I've never done consulting before. It's what you've been doing forever. And I get people who say, well, should I do the first few projects for free?
No.
No.
Heck no, man.
Free
Yeah.
is a,
Yeah.
we don't talk about free in my world. Why would
Sure.
you work for free?
Right.
If you have time that you want to give, that's for a nonprofit
Sure.
organization, not a for
Yeah.
profit corporation.
Right.
So you've been doing it. I'm sort of a fake it till you make it girl. I've
Me too.
always done a
Yeah.
lot of performing arts. So perhaps that comes naturally to
Sure.
me to fake it. But what you're doing, it's a little scary still for me when I work with a new client. But once I get in there, I go, oh, yeah, this is what I've been doing forever.
Right.
It's not a
It,
problem.
it lines up with your four things too, right? You have the brain power, business experience, computer, and a phone. Like to be able to be a consultant, you need that experience. Like you said, 10,
Yes.
15 years. Because I have a lot of people in my world because the entry to becoming a coach is nothing. There's no certifications needed. There's no
Yes.
experience needed. But yet
That's
everybody's
right.
like, so I'm going to be a coach and be a coach. And are they really taken seriously from a coaching standpoint, right? I mean, there was years and years. I was a real estate broker, a pretty good one, right? But I was working with people's biggest investment to that point in their life, selling them a house. Generally
Yeah.
is. So, and there's a lot of emotion that went with that. Like you're a marriage counselor, you're a babysitter, you're like all these different things while you're representing these people. That my coach is like, are you ready to coach? After I had about 16 years in, right? And I was like, yeah, what? What are you talking about? She's like, Scott, you're dealing with their biggest investment. You're
That's
doing
so
all these other
interesting.
hats. So it's like and you're one thing I see about you is you're curious. You want to know everything. And I was like, oh, so that's 15, 16 years ago. It's like it's really kind of taken off for me with that and being able to help people bridge that gap where they want to be, where they are, and help them bridge that with that. So back to you though. So you built a brand, a business, and a lifestyle for yourself. Which one is the hardest to get? Right? Meaning, which one kind of gave you the biggest payoff? So, like the business, the brand, or the lifestyle? Like, which one do you feel is the hardest to get?
I think probably the lifestyle for people.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think, for sure the lifestyle is the one that gives me the most because it's my life. The
Right.
business, and so at this point I have this program that helps people start their own consulting business. And in my program, it's funny because I don't consider myself a mindset coach or a life coach,
Sure.
but I do talk a lot about figuring out what your life and lifestyle goals are, the ways that you want to work, what's important to you, and then making those a client benefit.
Right. Yeah.
And how to do that, how to set your boundaries, how to
Yeah.
make sure that you're really always protecting those reasons and being very, very clear and mindful
Mm,
about what your priorities are and what's important to you when you decide what projects to take, what work to take, what value you bring. So I think being very, very clear about that life part of it
mm,
really informs your business. But I don't like considering when people say, "Oh, you have a lifestyle business" to somebody,
right.
it's usually kind of meant as an insult.
Right.
Like you're not actually making money or serious about the business.
Right.
So I feel a little protective about how I describe that
Hmm.
because I want everyone to know you can go into your consulting business. You don't sacrifice career trajectory or pay.
Right.
It's not a cop out. It's, oh, I got laid off. Oh, I couldn't make it. Oh, I
Right.
couldn't get the C-suite spot. That is not the choice that we're making here.
Right. Right. And I'm a relationship creator. That's how a lot of people like, hey, Fergie will know somebody for you. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like I can see us doing business because there's so many people that come to me looking to like I don't know it at the time, but they're looking to make a change, right? And they're like, "Oh, you've been this." It's an easy referral to you, right? Which is a beautiful thing. And I've seen this, and I was telling Amy off mic that she's the first laptop lifestyle person that I've like ever interviewed on here, and I've been having requests for about people, hey, who do you that can make money from anywhere and stuff. So here you go, squad with that, and also I'm hearing kind of a good friend of mine, fellow coach, lives over there by you, Steve Farber, right? And he says that do what you love in the service of people that love what you do, right? So you do what you love. I love coaching. I love real estate still, but I love coaching, and people see I love coaching. And so they really buy into my curiosity to help draw their solutions out of them. I can see that
Yeah.
with you as well. I can see you do what you absolutely love, right?
You already have what it takes right now, and all of you can take that leap. And the
Yes.
leap is not as big as you think. And I get a lot of people who say, "Oh, well, you alluded to this early in our conversation about the quote unquote security of a corporate paycheck."
Right.
We all know that we can walk in any day in our corporate job.
Wrong.
So before
Yeah.
COVID, the first Monday of every month for 12 years, I spoke on how to start a successful consulting business for Lee Hecht Harrison. It's an outplacement services firm,
Okay.
if anybody knows what that is, right? A lot of times, if you get laid off from your corporate job, you get outplacement services.
Sure.
So I had a room full of 30 to 60 people who had been laid off.
Right.
No, it's very rare that anybody expects to be laid off, but a lot of us, whether it's been us or we know people, it happens to everybody. So this fantasy of the security of a corporate paycheck, I just don't think that's a thing anymore.
No, it's
If you're
yeah.
a
Thank you.
consultant, you know what's in your pipeline.
Right.
It's up to you what's coming down. You
Right.
can generate it. If your pipeline's empty, you better get to work. You
Yeah.
better build some relationships. You better do
Yes.
some networking. You better call your friends, right?
Right.
You sold real estate. You
Oh
you
yeah.
did all those things, right?
Sure. I mean, everybody was like, I'm going to get into real estate because realtors, I was blessed, but I was hungrier than others. Like I took action,
Yeah.
right? But they don't realize the hunt that has to happen. Like you've got to be consistently prospecting, and everybody with ways of prospecting were handing their cards out to everybody, which, okay, it can work. But me, I really built the relationships with people. Oh,
Totally.
that I really resonated with a lot of veterans, a lot of auto workers, because I was in Detroit. My dad worked for the big three. So it was like that for me. I found a familiar area that I could really work from. But so how about pricing? Like, let's talk a little bit about pricing. So, like, so many consultants, maybe you disagree, but I feel that so many consultants undercharge. We talked a little bit about this before, right? So, what's your take on confidently commanding top dollar without selling your soul?
It's probably the number one mistake is not charging enough.
Thank you. Yep.
So
100%.
that goes all across. And again, I'm not a mindset coach, but I've determined what it is. What causes people not to charge enough is fear. You deserve it, you earned it. And a lot of people are out there thinking, well, how in the heck do I figure out where to start? So you know what? I'm going to give you a number.
Right.
If you have no idea where to start, now I described a little bit. I'm kind of talking about corporate-ish type folks, 5, 10, 15 years of experience. Almost everybody should be at $150 an hour or more.
Minimum. Yeah.
Now, you can talk about that hourly, daily, by the project. You can position that however it is. A lot of consultants don't want to talk about hourly rates. Like
Right.
that's very McDonald's, right? We're professionals. We don't charge hourly. The reality is you're selling your time.
Sure.
Whether you
Yeah.
sell it by the day or the week or the retainer or the month,
Right.
you need to really, because you're selling your time. I'm a strong believer that you need to understand what you're making each hour, even if you don't
100%.
ever share
Thank you.
that on the outside.
Thank you.
So if you're out there and you're thinking, I want to try this, if you have like, where do I start? $150 an hour is a great place.
Yeah. I love that. I love it. It's fair. The people that want to make the jump or like really level up their part in their business, the people that they're consulting for, they'll pay it. I mean, 100%. I
Yes.
found that because I used to, I'm blessed to speak on a lot of stages, done thousands of people. And I would be like, what the hell? Why am I here? Like, I had the worst imposter syndrome. A really good friend of mine is an excellent speaker that really helped me through a lot of stuff when I was starting my speaking. He goes, Fergie, you're attaching your confidence to your abilities. He goes, why are you here? And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, why are you here? You've told me a bunch of times why you're here before. And I'm like, because I want one person. I want to make a difference in one person's life out there. When my energy, I understand I'm infectious and I can get more people, but I want one person. He goes, that's your intention. You attach your confidence to your intentions, and the imposter syndrome doesn't happen anymore. I was having imposter syndrome because I was attaching it to my abilities. Like, who the hell am I to speak at a millionaires convention that's literally called that
Yeah.
in Charleston? So I was like that. That's what really, I think that a lot of people, even in your world, if they start attaching their intentions to their confidence instead of going into it thinking, my abilities, I don't know, man, I only have 10 years in the business. And here's a guy that has 35 years in, and what the hell am I going to teach him? Right. So have those intentions. What do you think about that?
I think that's a really interesting point. I may be somewhat of an outlier. I've
Mhm.
always done so much performing
Mhm.
that I never struggle with imposter syndrome.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm probably a person that has more confidence than I deserve.
Right.
I mean, it sounds funny, and especially I think imposter
Yeah.
syndrome affects even more women than men.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of an oddball. I think that I don't struggle with that.
100% it does. Yeah.
So that's a really interesting way to think about it. I haven't,
Yeah.
what I tell people, I tell people more kind of the fake it till you make it
Sure.
or pretend like it's a role.
Right.
I tell people whenever they're going into a meeting that we were talking about how much you charge. I tell people to always role play their
Mhm.
conversations before they go into
100%.
them. So
Sure.
they practice, and between where we're sitting right now and putting a check in the bank is going to be a discussion about how much it costs,
All day. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's always it. I don't, does it ever get comfortable completely?
Never. I don't. No,
Never.
I'm never
So,
comfortable. And I like it like that though. I say I'm always pushing. I'm 53 years old and I still compete in submission grappling. Jiu-jitsu, like I'm always pushing my
that's
envelope,
great.
right? So it's like it never gets comfortable. I love the butterflies when I'm like I'm 10,000 a month
Well,
and
and
just knowing
so
it, right? So
we need to learn, not everyone is comfortable with the butterflies,
right.
but we need to embrace that.
Have
We
to.
need to accept
Yeah.
and embrace
Right.
that it's never going to be really comfortable to talk about rate.
Right.
So practice it ahead of time.
Yes.
And I tell people,
Thank you.
practice it with a friend,
Sure. Role
your
play is
spouse,
huge.
the dog.
Yeah.
If nothing else, look at if you're now a lot of things are remote, but like look in the rearview mirror of your car before you go in and practice it. You have to
Yes.
say it out loud,
Loud. Yes. 100%.
right?
Right.
Before,
Yeah.
look in the mirror,
Yeah.
whatever. I know a lot of people who speak online put a mirror in front of them so they can. I know people who do phone calls
Mhm.
purposely standing up in front of a mirror
Yeah.
so they have different energy,
Right.
right?
So you
I
say
don't
that
do that, but
I
it's
coach
interesting.
standing up. My desk rises, so
Yeah,
I coach standing up just because
because it's
I feel
different,
better for myself, right?
right?
And
Yeah.
it because my whole intention is to pour into Amy today. Like this whole podcast is to pour into you. That's the intention. Because in fear and faith, they both start with the letter F,
Yeah.
right? But they're also both beliefs in something that hasn't happened yet. So which one are you going to back? The fear or
Yeah.
the faith? Like back the
Right.
faith. If you've did the work, right? So what is your definition of success then? Because you're a successful person. What is your definition of success?
I think everyone defines it differently, but
Sure.
for me, it's achieving the business and life goals that I want to be able to do.
Right.
I still want to, for me, it's really important to have control over my own life. So I
Yes.
get to define what I want to do.
Love
So
it.
if I don't want to work on Friday because I want to go on a field trip with the kids, if my mom suddenly has a fall and fractures her
Sure.
spine and ends up in the hospital and then needs to be moved into assisted living, I want to be able to do that with her.
Right.
I want to be able to do all of those kinds of things to fully participate. I also have always done performing arts, so I
Hmm.
still do a lot of dance.
Mm.
And I live close to Mission Bay, which is great water
Love
skiing.
it.
I want to still be able
Yeah.
to water ski. Dance classes happen, dancers work at night.
Hmm.
Professional level dance classes happen at 10 o'clock in the morning. So
Hmm.
it doesn't fit very well with a 9 to 5 corporate schedule.
Right.
So I work half my workday during the day and the rest of it at night because
Love
I
it.
spend a lot of days either starting in Mission Bay or in a dance class.
Love
So
that.
all of those different pieces of my life I get to control, but I still live in coastal California, which is expensive,
Sure.
with a family. I have a son who's dyslexic, so he goes to a special school
Hmm.
for dyslexic kids that is expensive. And by the way, it's people move here from all over the world. But
Hmm.
for me, it means I'm driving 2 hours a day to get into a special school.
Right.
And I need to make enough money to still pay the bills and the college tuition and all the stuff. So
Right.
I want to be able to do it all.
Sure. And that's
But balance is not a thing.
yeah, balance is junk. Like to me, success is easily defined as living a life of options and not obligations. You said so many options right there. Getting up,
Perfect.
doing what you want, go and do what you want. You understand you're gonna have to pay your bills. That's just
Yes.
life, dude. That's not an obligation. An obligation would be like I got to be to work at 9, right? An obligation would be I don't have time to take
Options
my
are
son 2 hours
obligations.
away. Like you have the options to do that. And it's just something that something my mentor told me years ago. Is like, dude, you want to be successful, you got to live a life of options and not obligations. So
I love
that's my
that.
tagline. Look at my LinkedIn, look at anything. It's like helping you live a life of options and not obligations. And that's where that's that believe that's fully what success is. So let me ask you this then. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yes.
Okay, let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the double deuce, the 22-year-old Amy. Okay, what knowledge nuggets might you drop on her? Not to change your trajectory or anything, but maybe shorten a learning curve or feed her a little bit of wisdom at 22.
I don't know, Scott.
Mhm.
I started out pretty darn fearless, not
Okay,
afraid to do
yeah,
what I wanted to do.
sure.
If I had to pick the one thing that I would have done differently, okay, so here it is. Sorry, it took me. I've
You're
actually heard you
fine.
ask
Take
that
your
question.
time, love.
I've heard
Yeah,
you ask that question before, so
yeah.
I should have known it was coming. But the thing that comes to me is that there were a few times that that I knew that a situation wasn't serving me, and I was afraid to get out of it.
Mm,
I was afraid to answer it. So it's interesting, Scott, because My dad, who was a Silicon Valley guy, he's no longer with us, but he was my best business mentor.
Hmm.
Besides being my dad, it was
Sure.
awesome. And I
That's
miss
awesome.
him
Yeah.
so much because I lost my dad and my best
Friend. Yeah.
mentor for
Mentor.
business
Yeah.
and life. And
Gotcha.
I asked him this question. I had the wisdom somehow, he had a good long life, to ask him. And I said, if you had one business thing to do differently, what would you do? And he said, I would have fired people sooner.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
wouldn't have let it go. So for me, it's not as much about firing people. And his was, it would have given them an opportunity to go somewhere else and be more successful. It wouldn't have drugged down the team. It wouldn't have all the kind of collateral damage that happens. So for me, there were some situations that I knew
Hmm.
weren't serving me, but I felt like I had to spend at least a year, at least 3 years. I think that our jobs in those days were a little bit different. You felt like if you weren't spending at least a year and more like 3 to 5 in each job,
Right.
then you were like a job hopper and you were going to be untouchable.
Right.
So follow your instincts. And I
Love
know
it.
that I tell my nieces and nephews, my young family members, when you have a really strong instinct or intuition, it's almost always right.
Almost.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
if
Yeah.
if I had it to do over, there's only a few of them. I would have really had the confidence in those instincts and intuitions, and I would have played them out. I would have
Mm.
listened to them more
Love it.
and dug in and followed them sooner.
Love
It would
it.
have saved me some some pain.
I love it. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I would have probably got my ask in gear more. Like I would have asked more instead of thinking that I know everything. You know what I'm saying? At double dudes at
Yeah.
20 years, 22 years old, you kind of feel because you're taught, and some people go through school. I went to war and whatnot. So it's like I would look back and be like, dude, I could have learned so much a lot quicker, right? So Amy, how do you want your dash remembered then? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and your death date. Hopefully it's way down the line, but how do you want your dash remembered?
That I lived a full life.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. Love
that
it.
that I did. I'm actually not a bucket list believer
Me neither.
because
Thank you for that. Yeah.
I one of kind of my sayings that I like is to work and play every day.
Every
So
day.
don't save up for your bucket. Really, this is your life. Don't wait. Don't let it pass you by.
Sure.
The days are the days are long, but the years are short. So
Sure.
that I really
That is,
lived my whole life, my
it's so true
career,
what you
my
just said.
family,
Yeah.
my art, my
Sure.
sports,
Right.
that I did all of those things. Not climbing Mount Everest, but
Sure.
that I lived a full day almost every day.
Yeah.
I don't achieve every day, almost every
Yeah.
day.
You're looking to, but if you don't,
Yes.
it's still okay.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people are like, oh, it's the end. Hey, squad, welcome back. And thank you to Sleep Number Beds, Jocko Willink, Performance, the rest of the supplement companies that are helping me out here and keeping the lights on. And squad, there'll be awesome discounts in the show notes below. And Amy, like, let's get that acting chops back on, the little quick-witted improv, okay?
I'm a
So
dancer. Can I
love
move
it. You can
to
do. Use
answer?
jazz hands and everything. So you got each one of these questions, you got 5 seconds with no
Great.
explanations, and they can all
Super
be
fun.
answered that way. You ready to
Yeah,
level up?
great. Yes.
Here we go. Amy, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Never compromise your ethics, integrity, or the quality of your work.
That's beautiful. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Fundamental is focus on health,
Beautiful.
keeping my
And
body moving.
absolutely, movement is everything. So you see me, I might be walking down the street or an event, and like Fergie just looks like he's in his doldrums a little bit. What's one book that you read that really kind of shifted your mind that you might hand
On
me?
Wings of Eagles by Ken Follett. It's
Love it.
about the Ross Perot's rescue of his hostages in Iran.
Beautiful. Your most commonly used emoji when you text.
The laughing, crying
Love it.
emoji.
Sideways or straight up?
Tilted.
Tilted. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nicknames growing up.
Cow.
Okay. Love it. I don't even want to go there. It's fine. So Do you have any hidden talent and or superpowers that nobody knows about until now?
Mm. I'm fearless, but I think people don't recognize it in me
Gotcha.
because I'm calm.
Gotcha. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Monopoly.
Okay. Headline for your life.
Ah, she did it all.
She did. Buy into any superstitions at all?
Oh, yeah, I kind of like superstitions.
Me too, actually. What's one that stands out?
I can't think of one all of a
Like when I
sudden.
get into
It's
bed, my right foot's got to be the last thing that touches the floor. I'm weird like that, but like I
ah,
get into bed, right foot touches the floor and I swing it up so it's the right foot that touches my bed first. I'm weird, but it's a
awesome.
superstition of mine. Go to
Sorry,
ice
my
cream
mind is
flavor.
blank. Oh, vanilla.
Okay. There's a sandwich called the cow Rasdal. I always take the nickname, but build that sandwich for me, love. What are we eating?
Okay, here's what's funny is that I'm a vegetarian.
Okay.
So the cow Rasdal, we're saving the cow with
Okay.
that.
All
It would
right.
be toasted multigrain bread
Okay.
with every vegetable you can imagine
Love it.
and provolone cheese.
Me some provolone. Beautiful. Favorite charity and organization you like to give your time and or money to?
Literacy,
Okay.
anything that
Beautiful.
supports literacy. I
Love it.
believe that literacy is the lack of literacy is the biggest social injustice of our time.
100% agree. Love it. Last question. You can elaborate on this one a little bit, but what's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
None of the above.
Okay. What is it?
I'm a classical girl.
Okay.
So I have a collection of college degrees. One of them is clarinet performance.
Okay.
So I like the romantic period, which is right between classical and impressionistic.
Okay. So calendar year, what would that be? The 17, 1800s or like,
Yes,
okay, gotcha.
early
Very cool.
1800s.
Very cool. So there you go.
But but I love
1880
me some
stuff.
Aussie. I love me some Aussie, and how can we not
That's a bummer that
mention
he
Aussie?
passed. Huh?
Yeah.
And then Hulk
Ozzy
Hogan,
and Hulk.
yeah, he just died. That's crazy. I'm
What's
like,
this? We
listen,
lose Ozzy and
yeah.
Hulk in the
It-
same few days.
yes, that's just
Very sad.
that's sad. Amy, how can we find you, love?
You can find me billable at the beach. So if you Google it, you'll find my website.
Mhm.
My main social media is LinkedIn.
Okay.
So Amy Rousel or billable at the beach, and you'll find me all over the
A little
place.
bit at the beach. And she also has an awesome, like if you go here to the right squad, if you're watching Vimeo or YouTube, she has a free course, 3 action steps to generate revenue now. And that would be a fantastic place for you to go. And also tell us a little bit about building your six-figure consulting business, like your course and what does it include, Amy?
Yeah, so it's to take you from where you are right now to being a successful consultant. It's everything from A to Z. My approach is very practical.
Okay.
What I want, I assume that you're starting a business to make money.
Right.
I want you to land a project, get a check in the bank. So that will be our first focus,
Okay.
always in the program. Land a project, get a check in the bank. Then, once you have revenue coming in, which can start very quickly,
Right.
then we start going through and building all of the other pieces of the business so
Your
that at the end of the
website and
program,
everything else that you didn't
your
need from jump,
website, your
right? Thank you.
pictures, your logo, all
Love
of that
that.
infrastructure. But the first thing, I don't want you thinking about anything else
Right.
except generating revenue.
Love it.
Land a project, get a check in the bank, and we do all the other stuff.
Love
But
it.
people have questions. People
Sure.
don't always believe. So I put a little stuff around that to help people feel comfortable that that's really what their focus should be.
Gotcha. I love that you kind of metaphorically hold their hand and show them the way. And how about your book, Landing a Consulting Project Now? Build a life of freedom, flexibility, and inspiring work running your own six-figure business. Tell us a little bit about the passion behind that. It looks like it dropped in about 3 years ago, the book.
Yes, I can't believe it's been 3 years. They go fast. But
Right.
that focus also is land a project, get in a check in the bank. I'm a very practical person. Exactly what you need to do. So the book really gives you that same A to Z view.
Mhm.
It's very easy to read. I also have an audio book. If a lot of you are, some of you are listening to us today, I have an
Sure.
audio version that's in my voice. It's quick, it's full of stories. It's easy to understand. And the goal of it is to make you coming away feeling empowered and inspired to do it with exactly the implementation steps of how. So a lot of people start with the book and then they think, okay, well, I want to do it. Let's get a little bit more, and then they jump into my program.
Love
But
it.
all of it's right there in the book that gets you started. Quick,
Love it.
easy, good stories, little bit of humor, entertaining, not long.
Gotcha. You know what, Squad? I'm going to do a 2-book giveaway for the first 2 people that put, I don't care if it's Pinterest, Instagram, or text it to 561-440-3830. Again, it's 561-440-3830. The 4 things that my friend Amy said that we will need to begin consulting. I'm gonna spoil it for you right now. If you wait about 10 seconds, I'm gonna tell you. So the first 2 people that text it or email it or drop it in any of the socials, I'm gonna send you the book out. And I don't care if it's 10 people, I'll buy you guys all a book. I don't care about that. I want the people that are serious about living a life of options and not obligations to align with Amy and get it done. And Amy kind of silicone kid. She reminds us that people are actually more important than the product. A superhero, superpowers, super pay. I love those 3 S's. That's amazing. That's a life well lived right there. She loves it to hear that you made an impact and get paid for your contribution. But the big thing about there's that I word, that impact. You have to make the impact. And now write this down, squad. The 4 things needed to begin your consulting business: brain power, business experience, a computer, and a phone. And if you're listening to this, like my good friend Amy said, you probably have those. And then you get there, you get that check in the bank, and then Amy will still help you with her consulting to be able to get you going, to be able to get the business cards and all the glamour shots and all that stuff that you don't need. And coaches out there, same thing, guys. You know me. I started by just with my curiosity and do an hour of power with people. And I did get paid for those, but I didn't have a website. My website is still junk. I get knocked about it every day. So, which is totally fine. I don't care because I love the interaction with the people. And so, Amy, it was such a pleasure having on. Thank you so much for opening up your book, opening your life. Even if you were faking it today, having a good time, I'm kidding. No, seriously, love. You're absolutely stunning. You level up your health. You level up your wealth. You've earned a varsity squad letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Chat soon. Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today, proudly brought to you by Inlet Properties and Investments. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on the Time to Shine Today podcast, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you'd like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also, there you will see our recommended resources. We hope you will help support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have been listening to, it'd be great if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's your time to shine.